I have a dark side. Doesn't everyone? So a while ago, I did a shorter couple of videos on this, but I feel like I didn't really talk about it in depth as much as I wanted to. But essentially, I showed you guys how to correct the wrong shade of foundation, which I feel like is something that everybody needs, because if I'm being honest, I buy the wrong shade of foundation, and I feel like most people do too. And who actually has the time or the energy to have a winter and a summer shade? Me, I do. But the problem with that is not everybody does or wants to have two different foundations for summer and for the rest of the year. So, with that being said, I thought it would be good to talk about how to correct the wrong shade of foundation, because honestly, it happens to the best of us and you need to know how to fix that. So, we're going to dive in and have a darker side and I'm going to say wetter side, a darker side and a lighter side of foundation. All right, I'm not going to tell you which foundations I'm using because I don't think that that's important for this video. All right, so I'm not going to show you which foundations I'm using on which sides. By that I mean the deeper side is going to be this side, the lighter side is this side, but I am using different foundation formulations for them. So and I'm not telling you which formulations I'm using because honestly, I don't think it really matters for this. Just know that these are the wrong shades for me, and that is what I am using. I actually think that this is really close to a good match. Maybe I should get a different one. I'm gonna get a different one. That actually matches me pretty well. It matches my body really, really well. So I'm gonna get a different color for that. Be right back. All right, let's do this one. All right, hopefully this is a little bit better. It's still not super dark on me, but we're gonna call it good. Okay, so this is my dark side. I have a dark side. Doesn't everyone? I think I'm hilarious, and you guys should probably laugh at that. All right, this is gonna be my light side. So like, obviously not the best match. If I'm being honest, this isn't a foundation that I ever use. First, because it is too light, but I actually don't like the formulation of it. So I've got a dark and a light side. Honestly, fixing a darker foundation I think is a little bit harder than fixing a lighter foundation. But essentially we're going to make these two sides match and match our body at the same time. For fixing the light side, you have two options. You can use a non-shimmery highlight, which is pretty hard to come by, or you can use a very lightweight concealer. I am going to use a lightweight concealer. So I'm going to use this e.l.f. Flawless Brightening. I actually really like this stuff, but it is, you know, very light coverage, which for the intents of this is good. But if you're using it as a concealer, sometimes it doesn't give quite enough coverage. But essentially, I'm just going to hit the high points of my face, or essentially where I want to be highlighted. So I mean, like, this isn't a high point of my face, but I want it to be just a little bit lighter there. We're going to hit all of that. And I'm going to let that, you know, sit for just a second, because I want it to kind of settle a little bit, because I was saying this is really light. We're going to let that just, you know, set in place, dry down just a touch before blending it out. Essentially, the opposite is true for if you have too light of a foundation. If you have too light of a foundation, you're going to use this as your highlight, and then you're going to bronze the rest of your face. So see how I stated, like, middle, highlight area, nose? We're going to do the opposite here. We're going to go here, right under where we would highlight, under our jaw, side of the nose. These are the places that you would normally bronze, right? And then you're going to go ahead and blend that in. So let's do that. Boom. I'm already starting to see these two sides blend. I'm still going to have to bronze this side, and I may still highlight this side, but this is going to help. All right, starting to come together. I feel like that didn't get quite enough. I'm gonna actually switch which brightening concealer I'm using. No, I'm not. I'm going to use the same one. We're just going to let it sit just a little bit longer. But we're going to go ahead and blend out our... And I am going to start with a brush and then buff out the edges. Ooh, I let that sit for too long. Don't let your LYS bronzer sit for this long. It's difficult to blend now. I am going to kind of bring it into this part of my face too. Okay, that definitely sat for too long. Let's go ahead and tap that out. And I'm not going to worry if it gets a little bit more on the rest of my face, because remember, this color was too light for us. So we kind of want some of that bronzer to get a little bit everywhere. All right, I'm starting to look a lot more lifelike. We're going to put a little bit more bronzer on, but it's going to be powder bronzer at the end to kind of get some of the rest of this bronzed up a little bit. Because remember, the shade is still a little bit light for us. We're starting to look a little bit more lifelike. I'm starting to look more like a person, but we are trying to match the two sides, right? Because I've got a point to prove at this point. I don't know. I don't know if that's been sitting for long enough, but let's see. Yes, that's looking way better. That made a huge difference to like side to side. We're going to conceal like normal because honestly, you don't want like a weird concealer color. That's just going to cause problems. So let's conceal like normal. I'm going to put a little bit of orange corrector on it, and then I'm going to put some concealer on. All right, I'm going to like literally just a little bit of corrector. Because this one is the orange one and it is pigmented. And plus I feel like people put too much color corrector on. Like, instead of putting a couple of dots, they'll, like, do the whole thing, and I'm like, bro, you're not that orange. Or you're not that blue. All right. I'm going to use the same one that I would normally conceal with. And blend that out. Alright, already, both sides of my face are looking really, really similar. This side still looks a touch darker than this side, but not by much. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to finish out the creams. I'm going to put just a little bit of some cream blush on. Then we'll move on to some powder, because that's where it's really, really going to all come together. Oop. Gonna put some of this blush on. Got like a hair in my mouth or something. There we go. I like that. And now, let's work on powder. So although this side is actually the darker side, we are going to bronze both sides. But I'm going to use this Sephora bronzer. We're going to go heavier on this side, but we're still going to use some of the excess and like tap it off on the back of our hand to get this side too, so that we're matching. And again, same thing, tapping off some of the excess and kind of coming all over. Like, totally look the same on both sides now. You couldn't even tell that I was wearing different foundations to begin with. All right, now that that's done, a little bit more blush. I I feel like so far we're actually looking really similar on both sides. I'm gonna put on some lip liner, some lip gloss, put on my eyebrows, and I'll be right back and we'll talk about the overall results. As we look at this, we can see, yes, I'm still slightly darker on this side, but side to side, not bad. I could probably even fix this with just a little bit of powder. Let me see. I'm gonna take a little bit of powder to it and see. That definitely helped. Didn't fix it, but it helped. Side to side though, I look very similar. These are just some like easy things that you could do to make your foundation actually match your skin tone. I know I do stuff like this all the time because I'm like, I still want to be able to wear this foundation and I don't want to buy another one. So, I mean, keep this in mind anytime you're trying to like match up your foundation. Hopefully this helps. Bye!